Here we go. Yeah, I love this yoga mat because very lightly on it, it says, breathe. It just reminds me when
Of what?
breathe, to breathe.
Then you remind us.
Me, myself. I need to breathe while we do these things. Well, today we're going to start again by laying down on our backs. So we're just going to go ahead and lay down. Just take some nice deep breaths. You just want to start with a few cleansing breaths and then see if you can start to slow your breath down a little bit. The advantage of laying down on the mat as you're breathing is that you can actually feel your stomach rising and falling with each breath. So see if you can really expand that belly space as you breathe in deeply. And then as you exhale, see if you can really exhale all the air out of your lungs. And then once you've done that, see if you can push just a little further out. And then notice what that does to your inhale. I'm going to invite you to take your right knee up to your chest. Bringing your attention to your small back and to those hips, just relaxing those down. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and start to rotate your ankle here. As you're rotating that ankle, think about your shoulders and just checking in with those, that there's some space between your ears and your shoulders, that there's some space between your shoulder blades on the mat. And then go ahead and stop rotating that ankle, hug that knee into your chest, and then release that leg down to the mat. We're going to take the left knee up to the chest this time. Taking a deep breath here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and rotate that ankle. Again, checking in with your body, that you're not crunched up to one side. You're just kind of in a neutral position. Breathing deeply. When you're ready, you can go ahead and hug that knee into your chest. Release that leg all the way down to the mat. Open up your palms toward the ceiling and think about, bring your attention to your spine and think about trying to draw your two shoulder blades back and down along your spine. And then kind of settle into that. So you'll notice that your arms come away from your body when you do that. And just allow them to be out at a natural kind of V position from your body. I'm going to invite you to take both soles of your feet to the mat. And see if you can get your heels as close to your body as possible. And then we're going to take those palms and turn them down toward the mat alongside of our body. And when we're ready, we're going to start to push our heels into the mat and start to peel our spine up off of the mat, coming into bridge pose. Just holding here for a breath and then rolling that spine back down to the mat. This time you're going to go ahead and inch those feet away from your body just a couple of inches. And then again, you're going to use your arms as stabilizers on either side of you. So your palms are down toward the mat. And then you're going to press your feet into the mat as you round that spine up. So you're creating a diagonal from your knee to your hip to your shoulder. Taking another deep breath here. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and start to come down again, one vertebrae at a time, down to the mat. Tailbone is the last thing that comes down. And then again, inch your feet out away from your body just a little further. And then when you're ready, press those feet into the mat. Start to round that spine up again, coming into bridge pose. You might notice how the position of our feet on the mat is changing the intensity on the backside of our bodies. So when you're ready, go ahead and round down. Again, your tailbone's the last thing that comes into place. And last time, we're going to inch those feet out just a little further and then push up into our bridge pose. You will probably really feel this in your hamstrings. If it's too much, always feel free to adjust your feet or your stance. And then go ahead and round down. And then bring both knees into your chest. And then go ahead and rock back and forth across that low back. Just taking a couple deep breaths here. When you're ready, you can go ahead and come back to center, releasing your feet down to the mat. We're going to take our right foot up toward the ceiling, getting a nice gentle stretch on that right hamstring. Again, breathing deeply here. You're holding the pose, but you're not holding the breath. And then go ahead and cross that right ankle over top of your left knee. And then drop that right knee down away from your body. So you'll feel this on the inside of your thigh here. And once you've taken a deep breath here, then go ahead and pull those legs in toward your chest for reclined pigeon pose. And I would encourage you here to keep both feet flexed, just to help protect some of those ligaments in your knees. Settling into your breath. When you're ready, you can release that down. Taking both the soles of your feet back down to the mat. We're going to take the left foot up toward the ceiling, pulling that leg in gently towards your chest. Again, taking another deep breath. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and cross that ankle over top of your right knee. And drop that left knee away from your body. You might feel that again on your inside of your thigh, or you might also feel this in your hips slightly. And then when you're ready, you can draw both legs into your chest for reclined pigeon pose. Taking a nice deep breath again. And then releasing that all the way down to the mat. We're going to go ahead and draw both knees into our chest. And again, rock back and forth across that low back. We're going to leave the knees together, and we're going to take our arms straight out to either side, and then drop those knees off to one side of your body, leaving them stacked if you can. If you need to grab a pillow or something to kind of prop up your knees, if this is feeling like too deep of a stretch for your back, feel free to do that. For this gentle reclined twist. Taking another deep breath. And then taking one knee at a time, come back to center, bringing your knees together once more, and then leaving the knees together, drop them off to the other side of your body. We're just warming up that back. Kind of introducing some of these poses to our body today. Giving our bodies an idea of what we're going to do here in a little bit. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and take one knee at a time, back to center. And then for this next move, you can either stay here, and the move is that you're gonna leave your knees together, you're gonna drop them to one side, and then you're gonna pull them back to center, and then you're gonna drop them to the other side, and then you're gonna pull them back to center. If that feels like it's too much, you can always do one leg at a time down, and then one leg at a time back to center, and then one leg at a time to the other side, and then one leg at a time back to center. And if that still feels like that's pretty intense for you, you can also sit up into a seated position here, and you instead are just going to reach your hands down to one side, come back to center, reach your hands down to the other side, come back to center. So lots of options here for you. Take the one that fits your body for today. Taking some nice deep breaths as you do so, as you move back and forth from side to side. You might notice that you're traveling a little bit on your mat, and that's okay too. Maybe doing one more of these to either side. And then come back to center, hug those knees into your chest, and just rest here for a moment. And as you rest there, I'm going to start to read a little bit of our meditation for today. It says, often we are taught that it is our responsibility to make others behave. And when we do, that we demonstrate power and authority. But this teaches the value that power comes from overpowering people. And we can see this playing out in multiple scenarios around us and around our world every day. But the results are seldom what we wish for. But what if we changed the narrative? What if we realize that we are empowered by choosing to control ourselves instead of others? Be the change you wish to see in the world, was a famous quote from Gandhi. So again, I'm going to go back to that question. What if we realize that we are empowered by choosing to control ourselves instead of others? When we're ready, we're going to go ahead and release those feet down to the mat once more. We're going to turn to our side. It doesn't really matter which side you choose first. We're going to make like a little pillow for our heads with our bottom arm. We're going to take that top arm straight out in front of us, and then we're going to take those fingertips, kind of drawing a big circle all the way around us, knowing that it's okay that your hand comes up off of the mat, but just trying to keep those fingertips on the mat as much as possible. Feeling the full rotation of that shoulder. Maybe doing 3 or 4 of those big circles at your own pace. And then once you're done, bringing that arm back in to support you here. So you just have your palm on the mat in front of you. You're going to extend your top leg straight out from you. And we're gonna go straight up and then straight down and straight up and straight down. One more time, straight up and straight down. We're gonna bend that knee, take that knee to the floor in front of you, straighten the lower leg, so the bottom leg, and then we're going to work ourselves into a position where we turn our heart up toward the ceiling. If you would like, you can extend both arms out to either side. If that's not comfortable for you, then you can still keep your hands underneath your head for support or down along your side. Again, making sure that this pose is accessible to you here. And when you're ready, we're going to turn back onto our sides, coming back to that kind of curled position here. And then we're going to roll over to the other side. And I'm going to switch directions so that way I can still face you all. Coming to the other side. So our arm is underneath our head is a little cushion. The top arm is straight out in front of us. We're going to take those fingertips in a really big circle all the way around our bodies. Breathing as we do so. Considering our question for the day. Doing that probably 3 or 4 times. Once you come back to straight out in front of you, then bring that palm in, just right next to your body for support. Take that top leg straight out from you, keeping your foot flexed, and then going up toward the ceiling and down. And then up toward the ceiling and down. One more time, up toward the ceiling and down. And then bending that knee, we're going to place that top knee on the mat in front of us, straightening the bottom leg, and then again, working ourselves so that way our hearts start to open up toward the ceiling. You can either, again, keep your hands behind your head if that's comfortable. You can open up your arms fully if that's comfortable for you. Just find a position that you can hold this pose for a few breaths. Taking a nice deep breath. And then returning back to your side. Go ahead and draw both knees together. This time we're going to push ourselves up to a seated pose. So you want to bring both legs straight out in front of you. We're going to check in with our spine again, making sure that we can be really nice and tall, and then pressing our palms into the mat right alongside of our hips for staff pose. I know from the outside, a lot of times it looks like for this pose, there's not a lot of work going on, but we want to think about kind of hugging those muscles in toward our bones. So all of our large muscles in our legs are actually being flexed in this pose. And we're still breathing. And then you can go ahead and release that. We're going to bend that right knee, bringing that in toward our chest. And then we're going to hug it with our other arm. So left arm wraps around as we hug that knee into our chest. You'll probably feel this stretch across the backside of your shoulder. Maybe also in and through your hip a little bit. And then if you would like to take this a little deeper, you're going to take your right hand behind you, and then you're going to bring your elbow to the outside of your knee for a deeper twist. Breathing and sitting tall, and then as you exhale, go ahead and twist a little deeper. And releasing that, we're going to go ahead and straighten that leg once more. Again, pressing our palms into the mat next to our bodies here. Sit nice and tall. Flexing those feet so the toes point up toward the ceiling. And then when you're ready, go ahead and release that. Bend your left knee, bringing that knee into your chest, hugging that with your right arm. And breathing deeply here. When you're ready, you can take that left arm behind you, start to move the right elbow to the outside of that left knee for a deeper twist. And then as you inhale, sit really nice and tall. And then as you exhale, twist a little bit deeper. And when you're ready, release that down. Extend that leg out in front of you once more. This time you're going to take your right foot in toward your body. So almost like you were doing tree pose, but we're on the floor. And then we're going to just go ahead and crawl those fingertips forward over top of that left leg. And then rounding our backs down over top of that left leg. You might notice if you tuck your chin in this pose that it kind of releases all of the little muscles in your back as well. One more deep breath here. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and walk your hands back to center. We're going to switch sides. So right leg goes straight out. Left foot comes in, bending that knee deeply. And then again, starting to crawl those fingertips forward as we bend over top of that right leg. Rounding down. Taking another deep breath here. And then walking those hands back to center. We're going to turn to face the long edge of our mats. And we're going to open those legs for a wide open A. And we're going to start by doing a dynamic stretch here. And so we're going to start by putting our hands on the mats, leaning forward slightly, and then going from one side and then kind of swooping out in front and then to the other side. And so I'm going to let you guys go ahead and do that from side to side as I read a little bit further with our meditation today. So we were talking about being empowered by choosing to control ourselves instead of others. And Jonathan Grubbs was very helpful to me. He offered to share some of his notes with me about the origin of the word authority in Greek. And he said the Greek word for authority is exousia, suia. I'm sure I said that wrong. Yes. But it's a very different definition than what we think of for authority in English today. I'm curious for you all, what comes to mind when we think of the word authority? If you guys want to call it out, feel free. What do you think of when you think of authority? I think of like jurisdiction or like somebody kind of imposing their will on me, or dominion, sometimes control, or like governing over, those sorts of things. All right, come back to center. We're going to walk our hands back to center and draw both feet in towards each other for butterfly pose. And so here you can either go ahead and bounce those knees up and down, or if you would like, you can fold forward, use your elbows to help press those knees in toward the mat. But in the original Greek, the word authority actually means choice, permission, or the power to act. He said it can also mean essence or energy or the usefulness of something. But it really is a very different sense. So authority, the way that I understand it in English today, it feels like somebody's pressing something down on top of me. Whereas the original Greek definition really means that the power is coming from within. And so it's coming up and out of you, which is the same kind of switch in mentality that we're making from what we talked about earlier. Power doesn't come from overpowering others, right? It's not this top-down sort of power, but power comes from controlling ourselves, and that means that power is coming from within us and coming out. So go ahead and sit up, take your hands to the outside of your knees, help those knees together. We're gonna swish those legs to the side, coming up onto all fours. Making sure that your wrists are underneath your shoulders, that your knees are underneath your hips. And then when you're ready, we're gonna go ahead and take your right leg out behind you, checking in with your hips, that they are square to the mat. So they're not open to the side, they're just square to the mat here. And then if you'd like, you can take that left arm up as well for an extended table pose. Drawing your belly button in towards your spine here. When you're ready, you can float all of that back down to the mat. Finding kind of your neutral pose again. We're gonna let our bellies drop down toward the mat, allowing the tailbone to come up, the crown of the head to come up. And then when we're ready, we're gonna arch our back, tucking the tailbone and tucking our chin for cat pose. When you're ready to inhale, go ahead and drop that belly back down, coming into cow. And then when you're ready to exhale, go ahead and tuck that tailbone once more, tuck the chin, arch the back for cat. Moving through those two poses, inhaling on one, exhaling on the other. Just following your own breath, your own pace. And then coming back to neutral, we're going to shift to the other side, this time taking the left leg straight out behind us. And then if you would like, you can take the right arm straight out as well for extended table.
That's a bird dog.
A bird dog, yes, that's right. We used to have beagles growing up, and it was always so funny to watch them kind of in this pose when they would smell something in the air. They would point with their nose and their tail would go straight out behind them. When you're ready, go ahead and float that back down to the mat. Coming back to center. We're going to do a few more cat-cows. So at your own pace again, inhale to cow, exhale to cat.
We know that cats arch their back, but do cows really, I mean.
I don't know, that's a good question.
Somebody asked that yesterday, and we all just giggled, I was like, I don't know if cows do this.
Yeah, I think they look like they do that because their
Maybe.
bellies are so big.
Bellies
you know?
And their spines don't look table straight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true,
that's
they
so-
don't.
To me,
And then when you're ready, you're gonna come back to your neutral pose here. We're gonna tuck our toes, and we're gonna lift our knees about 3 inches off of the mat for bear pose. So you're gonna make sure that your core is engaged here. You're gonna really feel this in your thighs and in your core, maybe also in your shoulders. Taking some big breaths here. And then go ahead and set those knees down, untuck the toes. We're gonna go ahead and step forward with our left foot, coming into a low lunge on the left side. And then if you would like a little bit of a deeper stretch here, you're gonna press that front foot into the mat deeply, and then lifting your upper body. You can go ahead and raise your arms, really sinking down low into this position. Feeling a nice stretch on the front side of that right thigh, up through your hip flexor. When you're ready, go ahead and take both hands back down to the mat, stepping that left foot back. This time, we're gonna tuck the toes in, lifting our knees about 3 inches off of the mat. Coming back into bear pose. Again, feeling the balance of our weight between our hands and our feet. And then setting those knees down, untucking the toes, this time stepping forward with the right foot. Sinking into that low lunge on the other side. Taking some nice deep breaths here. And then again, if you want a deeper stretch, feel free to press that front foot into the mat, lifting your upper body, lifting the arms, sinking down into this pose. And then taking both hands back down to the mat, go ahead and step that right foot back. This time we're gonna walk our hands back towards our knees. We're gonna tuck our toes and shift our weight onto our feet, coming into a low squat, at the back of the mat. And then releasing that down, you're gonna bring yourself back down to your knees, walking your hands out in front of you. We're gonna come into a modified plank first. Holding this, we're gonna make sure that those elbows stay in close towards our bodies as we lower ourselves all the way down to the mat. And then thinking about the tops of your feet pressing into the mat, tops of your legs pressing into the mat, then go ahead and press yourself up into cobra pose. Releasing any tension you might feel in your low back. Opening up that chest. And then releasing that all the way down. Go ahead and inhale here. And when you're ready to exhale, push up into that modified plank pose on the floor. Again, pausing here. And then walking our hands back towards our bodies as we shift our hips back, tucking the toes. Again, shifting our weight onto the balls of our feet, coming into a low squat at the back of our mat. Pausing here for a nice stretch on your Achilles and your calf muscles. And then when you're ready, go ahead and lift those hips, set the heels down, and come into forward fold at the back of your mat. And I'm going to invite you to bend your knees deeply here. You're going to take one elbow in each hand, and then just hang over top for ragdoll pose. And if you would like, you can kind of sway from side to side here, if some movement feels nice to you. If not, you're welcome to just stay here in the middle. Allowing gravity to help stretch out that spine and your neck. And then leaving your knees bent, go ahead and place your hands on your knees. And then very slowly, round yourself up. Very good. Okay, we're going to step forward with our left foot, coming into a crescent lunge on this left side. So the ball of your foot is over, the heel of your foot is over the ball of your foot in the back. Once you get kind of settled with your base, then feel free to go ahead and lift your arms. Take a nice deep breath. We're going to go ahead and take both arms all the way down to the mat, coming into a runner's lunge first. Then we're going to step the back foot in slightly, and then come into triangle pose. So you're going to straighten that front leg, using your hands for support. If this doesn't feel accessible to you, always feel free to, you can come up a little bit further. You putting your hands on your leg for support instead of on the ground. Getting a nice hamstring stretch here. And we're gonna do something a little new today, where we're gonna bend that front knee. We're gonna bring that back leg in, so bending it almost like like a skier or something. And we're gonna step back into runner's lunge, and then we're gonna pull that knee in to that kind of squatted position. And then we're gonna step back into runner's lunge. One more time, bringing that knee in, step back into runner's lunge, and then plant your hands on the mat, step back with the left foot, lower yourself all the way down, come down to modified first if you need to, and then up into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale here, and then exhale up into your push-up. Then go ahead and tuck your toes, start to shift your hips back. Again, we're going to be putting our weight onto the balls of our feet here, coming into our low squat. Then lifting our hips, setting the heels down, coming into forward fold at the back of the mat. Go ahead and bend your knees deeply, one elbow in each hand. Hanging here in ragdoll pose. And when you're ready, go ahead and place your hands on your knees and then round yourself up. This time, stepping forward with your right leg, we're coming into our crescent lunge on the other side. So making sure that your base is really solid, that your feet are pressed into the mat. And then when you're ready, raise those arms up. Soften your tailbone down. And then go ahead and take both hands all the way down to the mat, coming into that runner's lunge. And then we're going to step that back foot in slightly, straightening that front leg, coming into triangle pose on the other side. Again, just doing as much as your body is able to. Taking a nice deep breath. And then go ahead and bend that front knee. Again, we're going to bring the back leg in with a bent knee. And we're going to step back into that runner's lunge. Shifting our weight forward once more, we're going to bend that knee, bring it in. Step back into runner's lunge. Last time, bend the knee, bring it in. Step back into runner's lunge. And we're going to plant our hands on the mat. Step back, right foot back to meet the left foot. And then again, lowering ourselves down, or coming first into modified plank, and then lowering yourself down. Inhale up into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale here, and then push yourself up into modified plank. Then shifting your hips back, walking your hands back, tucking your toes. And bring yourself onto the balls of your feet once more for a low squat. And then lifting your hips, setting your heels down, come into forward fold. And go ahead and bend your knees deeply. Place your hands on your knees, and then very slowly round yourself up. Very good. We're going to move into our balancing postures. And so again, if you need to come and hang on to something or need to move toward a wall, feel free to do that. Today we're going to start, like we always do, in our mountain pose. So if
You want to rock back and forth across the balls of your feet to the heels, just finding what feels comfortable to you. Once you've found a position that's comfortable to you, let those toes kind of float down to the mat. And then think about having your hips over top of your ankles, and then softening your tailbone down. And then think about having your shoulders over top of your hips, and that creating a nice lot of space in between your vertebrae. And then think about having your ears in line with your shoulders, and then allow those arms to come down as a natural extension of your body. And taking a nice deep breath here. When we're ready, we're going to shift to the left foot, drawing the right knee forward. Today, we are going to try a standing twist. So you can either bring your hands to your heart center first, and then extend your arms out to either side as you twist toward that front knee. Trying to pull back slightly on that left hip, deepening the twist. When you're ready, you can bring those hands back to heart center and then step out and down, shaking out that left foot if you need to. And then starting the same way, kind of finding your mountain pose again, checking in with your core, that your belly button is drawn in toward your spine. The crown of your head is up toward the ceiling. You're feeling grounded in through your feet with their connection with the mat. And taking a nice deep breath here. When you're ready, you're going to shift your weight to the right foot, drawing that left knee up in front of you. Taking those hands to heart center. And when you're ready, you're going to extend both arms out to either side as you twist toward that front knee. The twist really adds an extra element for the balance. Normally we're doing our standing postures, our balancing postures, and we're just straightforward, but we have one more thing to think about today here. So when you're ready, bring those hands back to heart center, and step out, shake out that right leg, and then come back to the back of your mats once more. I'm going to invite you guys to stand in mountain pose here at the back of our mats. Again, arms down alongside your body. Everything's stacked on top of each other like it needs to be. And I'm going to tell us a little story, one that most of us are probably very familiar with. And so if you want to close your eyes here or soften your gaze, feel free to do that. I think one of the best demonstrations of the move that we are making today from this mindset of having to be responsible for other people's behavior, having to control other people's behavior, to being empowered by controlling our own behavior and allowing that to influence people around us, is driving. I don't know if any of you have done this, but I know that I certainly have. Maybe I'm running a little bit late. I get in my car and I feel rushed already. And I start to drive down the highway and somebody pulls in front of me who's going very slow. And I feel, again, that rush of energy of like, no, not right now. Why can't you go faster? And in that moment, I'm giving away my power, blaming this other person in front of me for going too slow, when really the option that I have is to be empowered by controlling my own behavior. So I could have some composure, right? I could find some deep breaths in that moment. Maybe next time I would do a little bit of reflection and I would say, next time I will leave a little bit earlier. So that way I can go slowly to this next thing. But it's a very subtle shift, but it makes a huge difference in the way that we move throughout the world. So we're gonna step forward with our left foot again. We're gonna do that same flow again, where we're coming into our crescent lunge, raising our arms up, and then reaching down to the mat as we exhale. Inhaling as we step our foot in and straighten the front leg. Exhaling as we move to bending that front knee and then bringing the back knee in. Inhaling as we step back into our lunge. Exhaling as we bring our knee in again. Inhaling as we step back into the lunge. Exhaling as we bring that knee in. Inhaling as we step back into the lunge. Exhaling as we step our left foot back to meet the right foot and continue to exhale all the way down to the mat. Inhaling into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale and then push up into modified plank. Then shifting our hips back as we inhale, tucking our toes, putting our weight onto the balls of our feet. Go ahead and exhale as we lift those hips and fold forward. Inhale, both arms out to either side as you sweep up overhead, and then exhale, arms down. Very good. So then we're going to take it on the right side. So we're going to take that right foot forward. Again, starting with our crescent lunge here. And then we're going to exhale all the way down into that runner's lunge. We're going to inhale that back leg in and straighten the front leg. And then we're going to exhale as we bend that front knee, taking that back knee in. Inhale as we step back into runner's lunge. Exhale as we bring that knee in. Inhale as we step back once more. Exhale as we bring that knee in. Inhale as we step back into lunge. And then exhale as we bring the right foot back to the left. Continuing to exhale all the way down to the mat. Inhale up into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale here first. Push up into modified plank as you exhale. Then inhale as you shift your hips back, tuck your toes, and start to put your weight onto the balls of your feet. Exhale as you settle those heels down onto the mat and come into forward fold. Inhale, both arms out to either side. All the way up, and then exhale down. Yay! That's the end of our active portion. So we're going to come back down to our mats for our cool down. So if you want to lay down like we started on our backs. I'm going to invite you to draw your knees into your chest. Taking a nice deep breath. If you'd like, you can rock back and forth across that low back. And then taking those feet down to the mat. We're going to do some what we call mini cat-cows here. So taking your arms down alongside of your body, we're going to go ahead and press our tailbone into the mat. So you're creating a little bit of space between your low back and the mat here as you inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to press the small of your back into the mat. You're going to let that tailbone kind of curve under as you it's like a little mini arch for cat. And then just go back and forth between those two poses, inhaling as you press your tailbone in, and then exhaling as you press the small of your back in.
Doing maybe 5 or 6 of those at your own pace, allowing that deep breath to start to slow your heart rate down. When you're ready, you can go ahead and come back to neutral. I'm going to invite you to take your right arm straight up toward the ceiling and then across your body and pull that elbow in toward your chest. Again, only coming as far as feels comfortable to you. And then switching arms. You're going to take that left arm up toward the ceiling and then across your body, drawing that left elbow in toward your chest with your right hand. Releasing both arms down to the mat. We're going to take both arms up overhead, reaching those fingertips to one wall, and then extend your legs down, taking your toes to the opposite wall. Taking a nice deep breath in here. And as you exhale, go ahead and sweep those arms down alongside your body. Allow the feet to kind of fall open. We're going to take both feet back to the mat. We're going to bring both knees into the chest. Take both arms out to the sides. And then drop knees off to one side of the body first. Maybe noticing how this pose feels different from when we started. Taking one more deep breath here. Drawing one knee at a time back to center. Bringing both knees together and then dropping them off to the other side of the body. And taking one knee at a time back to center. Go ahead and take both feet back down to the mat. And then to bring your arms down alongside your body, open up your palms toward the ceiling. And then again, think about drawing those shoulder blades back and down along your spine. Your arms will come out away from your body slightly. And then relaxing those shoulders. And taking your right leg down to the mat. And then taking your left leg down to the mat. Allow those feet to fall open. And then we're going to take a few moments of silence here. My encouragement for you would be to consider our original question about empowering ourselves to control ourselves instead of others, and being reminded that power comes from within. And then I'll call us back together when we're ready. When you're ready, you can wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Gently roll yourself to one side. And push yourself up into a seated pose. I would encourage you to either bring your hands to your heart center or open on your knees or in prayer hands. And then let me pray for us as we close. God, thank you for this time and space. Thank you that you have given us the example that power comes from within, up and out of us. That authority is not pressed down upon us. God, we ask that you would release us today, that you would empower us to really believe that you have given us power within us that can come out of us. So Lord, we ask that you would help us to be attentive to even the small sneaky ways that we believe that old lie when we give our power away. And we thank you again for your spirit within us and for your loving gaze upon us today. We love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen. Thank you. Pause this.